IL Cafe. We have you covered. A podcast on how technology drives innovation in the insurance industry.
Good to have you join us on IL Cafe. This is ICICI Lombard's podcast that is dedicated to all things, you've guessed it right, insurance. Now, on this series, we're going to be looking at some of those thought-provoking ideas that are revolutionizing the insurance space today, whether it's technologies like artificial intelligence or insurtech or digitization, and indeed several other innovations that are going to be shaping the future of the sector. But I'm sure the question that all of us are asking right now is, what's in it for me, the average consumer? How does all of this alter my experience of buying insurance? Well, guess what? We've got you covered, you the listener. Join us on every episode as we explore these ideas with some really dynamic thought leaders, innovators, doers who are leading this change across the industry. Now, to kick off the first and hence very special episode of our podcast series that's titled Technology Drives Innovation in the Insurance Industry, we're pleased to have with us ICICI Lombard's very own Girish Nayak. Girish is, of course, the Chief of Customer Service, Technology and Operations at ICICI Lombard. Welcome to the show, Girish. Happy to have you here on the very first episode of IL Cafe. How are you?
I'm good, Sheetal. Thank you for having me here, and it's a pleasure to be on the first episode of IL Cafe.
The pleasure is all ours, Girish. In fact, we're going to be even more pleased when you address some of our questions for us on this podcast. But, I like to begin with the basics. So let me ask you, what are those current trends? We've all seen that the pandemic effect has really cut across every single sector. But generally speaking, what is the landscape like in the Indian insurance industry, Girish?
Thanks, Sheetal, for the question. I'll start with the second part of the question first on the landscape of the Indian insurance industry. Mm-hmm. So the insurance industry is a fast-growing industry. We sell close to 250 million plus policies a year, and we have more than 2 lakh crores of premium that we collect. But after all that, our penetration is hardly about 1% of GDP. It's significantly lower than even countries like Brazil, Russia, and of course, China. And it's not that the government has not been doing efforts to promote insurance. They've got health insurance scheme for the below poverty line piece and all that. But in spite of all these efforts, if you look at the coverage of health insurance, you have a 34% coverage. Life insurance will be somewhere in the region of 28 to 30%. Even for, say, like motor vehicle insurance, which is legally required, we have about 40% of two-wheelers covered. So really, there's a lot more that can be really done for insurance penetration. The industry also traditionally has been very physical in nature. When I say physical, it means that we really thrive on physical interactions. On the policy purchase end, you have the brokers, the agents, the OEM dealers who are helping with the sourcing of the policies. The moment of truth here is the payment of the claims. And even the payment of the claims, you have to either be at a garage for repairing a vehicle, or if you are admitted to hospital, there is the hospital who is processing the claim out there. And also there are third-party surveyors and TPAs who aid with the process. So it's a very, very physically intensive industry. Mm-hmm. Of course, like every other industry, like you rightly mentioned, the impact of the pandemic has been that there's a significant amount of digitization that has happened. People have moved away from physical interactions because there was no other way to interact, at least in the early stages of the pandemic. So people did move digital. But even after moving digital, there is a lot of work that can be done. At the same time, you also see a significant shift in the kind of products that the consumers are demanding. And as the consumer profile is changing, the Gen Z coming into the population, you have new generation products which are required, like maybe cyber insurance, telehealth solutions, even IoT-based risk management solutions. Similarly, given the plethora of fintech and insurtechs out there, there are newer age products bite-sized products. These are the replication of the sachet fundamentals in the insurance industry, products covering just vector-borne diseases, or products covering just your travel by one cab ride, or so on and so forth. So very small ticket size products which are emerging. Similarly, the risks which are emerging are also, again, as an industry, we've had to innovate to cater for these risks. Pandemic, of course, was one major new risk that surfaced, and we had products to cover the pandemic, plus products related to climate change, privacy and data protection, and even products related to security. When you see that lot more organizations are promoting hybrid working, so overall the cybersecurity posture needs to change. So the coverages also need to adapt to that. So the entire industry as such has been undergoing a significant change, and the pandemic has only accelerated that change. And we can see that we have new technologies like AI being used for notifying claims. So when a person calls up our call center, instead of an agent taking the claim intimation, it's done through an AI chatbot, which guides her through the claim intimation. Similarly, there are a lot of other technologies that are being used, which are really changing the scenario and how we interact with the customer, not only during the initial policy issuance, but also at the time of claims and how we process the claims.
So, Girish, would it be safe to say that the changes that you personally have experienced in this industry in, say, the last 2 or 3 years have come at a far more rapid pace than perhaps the changes that we saw in the last decade or so?
Oh, definitely. I mean, and that's with most of the industries. Like the last 5 years, the rapid change in technology has really given a completely different character to many industries. And insurance is no different. I mean, we have undergone significant change. How we interact with the customers has undergone a significant change. I mean, if you look at how we used to do it earlier, I mean, we had the policy issuance, and there is no actual need for a customer to interact with the insurance provider in case he or she doesn't have a claim. And for a health policy, less than 10% would have claims, right? So at the end of the day, once you have purchased, 90% people even wouldn't experience claim. The engagement with the customer just wasn't there. So again, we are trying to change that. We're trying to stay engaged with the customer through the life cycle. And one of the key things we have done in that is our IL Take Care app. It's a very customer-focused app. And it started off not from selling policies, not from processing claims, but the focus was engaging the customer. So we have various different solutions to engage the customer. We have wellness solutions. We have a daily step counter. We have something called a calorie scan. You want to eat that samosa that someone gives you, you can just scan it and it will tell you not only the calories that you're going to consume, it also tells you how many steps you should take or how much gymming you should do the next day to burn off those calories. So you really are careful when taking that extra samosa in.
Yeah, I so like the sound of this product, Girish, because I'm so desperately in need of one. Something that tells me you can actually pop in that samosa and then go for your quick little, 10-minute run. But that's very cool. Technology doing all kinds of things to enable wellness, I would imagine, right?
In fact, we have something cooler. We launched something called a face scan a couple of months back. Just look at the phone, keep your camera on, look at the phone for 2 minutes. Gives you very accurately almost about 6 vitals of your blood pressure, heart rate, SpO2 count, all this on your phone. It's something which is remarkable and again, very useful. I mean, you don't need to carry a BP measuring machine, that clip that you attach to get your SpO2 and a thermometer. You just stare at the camera. That's all you need to do. Yeah. So that's the power of technology today. And this is a very engaging app, right? You have this. You are going to use that app more and more, check your health stats. And you can also have your friends compete with you on how many steps you take and so on and so forth. So not only that, I mean, during the time of COVID, we also realized teleconsultation is important, right? It's been around a long time, but really the use of teleconsultation increased manifold during COVID. And that's integrated into our IL Take Care app. I have a feature called Hello Doctor. The solution gives the customers 24/7 access to doctor through consultation, through video to resolve any of the health issues. During the pandemic, we also launched a home care service solution for customers in collaboration with home service provider partners. Here, the doctor can prescribe a treatment through teleconsultation after diagnosing you. And the home care services also include monitoring by a medical professional. If the need arises, nurses, doctors, physiotherapists can come and check the patients at their residence. All that can be done. We also launched the BeFit product, which again takes care of all these wellness requirements through the app and covers your outpatient treatment. So all this, if you realize, was never covered as a part of health insurance. Health insurance earlier was just issue the policy, and if you get hospitalized, make the payment. You're actually making it a continuum of care rather than just a point of time solution. So that's the change that the entire delivery of insurance is going through. And the IL Take Care app, we've had over 1 million downloads and very good response from our customers. They really, and some of the features like I mentioned, like calorie scan, has really got us great feedback from our customers.
Girish, seeing as we've dwelt at length on customer experiences, I'd like to understand what are those customer behaviors that have necessitated these changes that you have implemented that have led you to tailor these tech-driven customer solutions to meet their needs?
I think, again, comes from what I told you earlier. We measure NPS scores. We see how consumers are recommending us to their friends. And we've noticed over time that really, when we probe deeper, the engagement is something missing. So if you don't have a claim, then there is really no experience. So you don't have the advocacy coming in. And hence, your ability to show your service differentiation was not arising. And hence, we kind of moved into this space where we thought, look, we need to keep engaging with the customer. That's one of the insights that we drew from what we heard customers telling us. When we did our NPS surveys and CSAT surveys, that was what our messages come. Because unlike a bank, now with UPI, you might be transacting with your bank daily. You experience the bank service daily. But even before UPI, you used to transact with the bank, say, 3 or 4 times a month. So you really have that connect, you understand, you can experience the bank services in various aspects. But in insurance, it's buy it once a year, it gets renewed, experience it only if required, and that too, you would not want to experience claim in a health policy. So it's not something that is natural. So the engagement or the bonding with your insurance company is really not something which is natural. So we need to create opportunities to engage, and we need to create that whole wow factor in the customer. Apart from the claim process, the claim process is some place where you need to engage with them well. And that's the whole premise on which we kind of built out the IL Take Care solution. And like I said, we built it out starting with this engagement process. We obviously have the claim servicing also done through IL Take Care. You can upload all your documents, intimate your claim, get your status, everything on IL Take Care. Of late, we have also started selling policies through IL Take Care because we have a lot of rich data of customers using the app for various activities, and we can see that how the coverage is and what is it that we can give them additionally which meets their requirements. The primary purpose of the app, earlier it was started from selling a policy. No, this one came last. The selling policy came last. The first purpose was engagement, helping them with the claim process later, and then the selling of policy. So it's now a complete app, but it started off with just the addressing the engagement issue.
Now, this is from the point of view of the customer, Girish. It's an overwhelming space. Digital insurance buyers are sometimes overwhelmed by the sheer choice and the information. There are articles and articles, WhatsApp messages from uncles and aunts on your family groups on, what insurance to buy. So much in a crowded market. How does one, filter out the noise and make the right decision? What advice would you give customers when they're shopping or looking for a solution in this space?
Great question, Sejal. And this is really, like you said, a dilemma for customers given the overload of information that one has today, given social media and, of course, WhatsApp groups and so on and so forth. But I would also say that is a great thing, because earlier, the only way you could buy insurance is talk to your agent, whatever the agent is telling you kind of purchase the insurance. Now you have multiple channels, and also there are independent sites where you have ratings, you have reviews. There's a lot of publications which do a whole lot of research and rate various products and services that companies offer. So the information is there. So they would need to go through information. I mean, there's no substitute to individual research, right? I mean, if you need to take a decision, you need to be aware of stuff. So there is a lot of material out there which you can read. You can understand what are the coverages. But of course, then you can obviously call up our call center where we take you through the various products that we offer. Also, use the agency channel. I mean, there is your friendly neighborhood agent, and he or she would always be there to guide you on the most suitable products. But insurance is a product which requires a bit of thought. So you should make yourself aware, do a bit of primary research. And all companies, including us, have detailed information on their websites. So that's something which is available. And you go through a couple of them and you understand broadly what people are talking about, what is covered, what is not covered. You can also go through other sites which do some of the comparisons. Some of the prominent newspapers also have a regular update of comparing various products. So those are also guideposts which you can use. One of the preferred channels which customers do have is the agent. So you can talk to your agent as well and understand what are the products available. And if you're sure of it, just come to our I'll Take Care app or to our website, iclombard.com, and you can buy the policy directly out there.
Superb. And I must thank you, Girish, for getting us off onto a good start over here on the very first episode of IL Cafe. We've understood the kind of customer behaviors and expectations that have driven the changes that we've seen in the insurance industry. We've understood the role of technology and how it really sort of is a force multiplier when it comes to, consumer experience. We've also understood some of the thinking that's gone behind these changes that have been implemented. And thank you so much for those pieces of advice to our listeners who might be looking at insurance, how they must, do their own research to pick the right one for themselves. All in all, I think we are sorted for the next episode, which I'm hoping will deep dive into some of the topics that you have addressed today. But thank you so much, Girish, for joining us on IL Cafe today. And here's wishing you and the team the very best going forward.
You were listening to IL Cafe. We have you covered.